Got a Twosun here. Twosun. Let's spin it. I think I've done a few of these recently. I didn't spin them. It's like breaking tradition, man. What's wrong with me? What's in the box? Whatever it is, it's holding on to the lid. Okay. Yeah, so this, you already know, is one of my favorite Twosuns. Yeah, I like this piece a lot, and I say that, and I don't know the number. I gotta get it out of here. There, I think I can see it in there. Can I see it? It's a ts304, which you already knew. It was up on the video, right? But I am a big fan of this piece, but it needs a little bit of help. And so I purchased this one. I have one that's modified. I have pimped out my personal one and got it where I really, really like it. And I'm going to pimp this one out as well. There's a couple of things on here that I'm going to do to this knife that's going to kick it up a notch. And so I'm just going to run through it on the channel. But I really, really like this knife. And there's some reasons. The ergonomics, the blade, the action, the weight. I mean, there's so many things that kind of go into this piece that make it stunning. Now, it is a, like I said, it's ts304 Moswell and Mokhtar design, 14C stonewash blade, stonewash titanium pocket clip, and steel liners. I think they're steel. We'll check them. Maybe they're titanium, but it's got metal liners. And it's got this ball clip, which, you know, of course, I'm not a big fan. And some of these work, some of them don't work at all. But let's get this blade out. Yeah, look at this thing. I mean, yeah, there's just, for me, there's just a lot to like in this knife. And this reverse power grip right here with that, I mean, it's basically, I mean, I'm sure it's officially a drop point, but it's like a spear blade on here. So when these first came out, one of the things that was going on with these is the blade was making contact with this backspacer right here. And this one has made contact as well. Look, just that first drop, see that? Made contact there. And so that has to be managed. And the way to manage that is this blade's just got to be reprofiled slightly. But yeah, just that one drop, and I chipped that blade. Boop. And right there, it's contacting that spacer. And I've got a chip in that blade now. Yeah, so not cool, right? And I think because of that, I think that a lot of people have steered clear. I will tell that the action on this one's pretty stiff. So we'll work on that action. I can also knock these thumb studs down a little bit. I'm going to try to put a little purple in this carbon fiber. And then one of the other things is the contouring on this knife is good, but there's a couple of pokey spots. And so with just a little bit of work around these edge, I can really soften this knife up. And man, when it goes in hand, super light, super comfy. And look at this thing. I mean, you know, I'm not going to say it's got a very confident grip because there's no finger guard. But for what it is, this thing, very capable, wonderful little pocket knife. Now, that chip, that's terrible, right? Like anybody that follows around with these knows that, you know, that this 304, makes contact on that barrel spacer. Could have easily just put a smaller barrel spacer in there. You know, there's a couple of things I could have done, but man, I got one, and sure enough, first time I run that action, it drops down and chips that blade. Yep. But we're going to fix that. We're going to reprofile that blade to where it doesn't contact that anymore. Work on this action. I'm going to contour these scales, soften this knife up a little bit. Yeah. Maybe minimize these thumb studs a little bit. Mill them down a little bit so that they're not poking beyond the scales. Yep, a little bit of work. But the action on this one is stiff as well, so we're going to handle that. It just may be tight. Let me check that real quick, because it feels like that. It feels like maybe it's just over tight. There's no wiggle there. It's better. All right, well, let's get in this thing. We're going to disassemble it. This video is going to have some breaks and starts, and you know, I don't know that I'm going to get it all done in one session, and but I'm going to track along so you can kind of see the progress of where we're going. You know, where we started and where we're at, and you know, keep you up on it. There we go. Stonewashed liners, and I'm going to say titanium. Yeah, so it's got titanium liners. I mean, this whole piece right here is so light, super light. It's one of the things I really like about this knife. But I'm going to do a complete disassembly because I'm going to try to put some color in this carbon fiber. Now, my personal one doesn't have that, but I'm going to try it on this knife. I'm going to see if I can't get some color to take in here. Yeah. I am going to put this back on real quick and get a reference on that lock, because that action was kind of bound, and so maybe that lock is set really tight. I don't have to completely reassemble everything. I just need to hold it tight and then open the knife so that it locks. Okay, got my reference point. Captured pivot, I believe. Yeah, it's captured in that top titanium scale. And I think, no, yeah, these have to go. These have to be in. Yep. Yeah, look at all that oil in there too. Ooh, it's an oily monster. Come on. Come on out of there. There it is. Okay. I am going to take just the tiniest bit off of this because it was ferociously tight. Nice jimping on there, by the way. Combat stuff. Very nice. All right, man, let's wipe everything down. And yeah, I'm going to have to get some pliers involved to get those thumb studs off. But we'll clean it all up. We'll take a break, and we'll pick up on the next stage. I'm going to work on those thumb studs. I am going to soften the carbon fiber, a little file work, a little sanding work. I'm tempted to take them down to my shop, bring y'all with me, and just run them on a bigger sander. But I definitely have more control just using a file. It's a little harder work, and you know, I say hard, it's not hard. You know, filing carbon fiber is not, it's not difficult work at all. So I think I'm going to file it just because I can control it better. And all right, we're down to little pieces now. Okay, so I've got everything wiped off, and so what I'm going to do is I am going to take the box and prop it open, and all of the pieces and parts are going to go down in this box. I think I'm going to get rid of this plastic bag on this particular knife, and then so I don't misplace anything, and I can move this to the side and work, and you know, I can come back to this knife as I go, because like I said, it's going to be a couple of step processes here to get to it, but I did want to get started on it. Love this titanium. Let me get this that steel washer out of there. Yeah, all titanium except for the steel insert. Very cool. Okay. So, well, here, I'm going to pull these thumb studs. I guess let me knock that out real quick. Let's use this right here. And this and this. Yeah, just love handling these sharp blades, don't you? There we go. Come pretty quick, pretty easy. Okay, so those are off. Another quick little wipe. I'm going to put those in the box because I'm not going to work on them. And then to sharpen this blade, to reprofile it, we'll wait and put the knife back together. So that way I've got good leverage and I can maintain angles. So we won't sharpen that until we're back together. But yeah, there's everything. I've got these scales, and actually I think I'm going to file on them. I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to work on these two scales right here. Okay, so I like to use my little contour diamond file to do this. And it is kind of messy, it's dusty. But I'm going to run over all of the edges. There's like a outer edge, there's this inner edge. Whoop, here. There's an outer edge, the inner edge, and then there's the inside edge. And I'm going to get them all. But I kind of want to stay on track, so it's easy to kind of get lost. Well, where did I work and where didn't I? So I'm going to do a section at a time. And it doesn't take much. Like, I'm not You know, it's not crazy pressure or, you know, I'm not trying to change the world here. I am just knocking down all of the sharp edges. And could you do this with sandpaper? Probably. Because my files, these diamond files, just tear this stuff off. Doesn't take hardly any tension or pressure. And so here's another example on this corner. This corner is kind of sharp. And so I'm just going to try to contour it, kind of round it off a little bit. And then I can wipe it and you'll see that I get covered in black dust here. But yeah, that's all knocked down wonderfully where I've done it. A little sharp on this inside right here. There we go. Very soft, smooth. I mean, I've done this to one of these and it just transformed the knife. The thing, it became a pillow in my hand. I mean, after I did it and I put the knife back together, I was like, oh my gosh, is that comfortable in my hand now? Yeah. Very pronounced difference from where it's at before I started this to where it's going to be when I'm done. And you know, this black carbon fiber is pretty forgiving, right? Like, you know, if I mess up a little bit, like it's not, you know, it's not something you're going to see. It hides any sloppiness on my part for sure. Oh, it's transformed. Yep, just in that little bit of time. I feel like I can maybe improve this just slightly. Okay. Next. And I mean, I can feel the difference on this one. This one, the edge, I mean, this knife doesn't have like crazy sharp edges, but the difference between this and that other one is night and day. It's amazing how soft I'm able to make that knife by cleaning up these edges. All right, well, you get the gist. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to pause because, man, we've got some other components to this knife. So I will see you guys soon. Okay, so I'm currently heating up some dye, working on those scales, got them all sanded down. I'm going to work on these thumb studs now on this belt sander here. So let me get it set up and I'll show you what's up. Okay, so here's what I've done. I've put them together, and the way that I rotate through them is this way, which tightens them, versus the other way, which loosens them. So the one gives me a handle on the other. The other thing with them together, I can kind of flip them and pay attention to them. I've got a 120 belt on here. And so I'm just going to work right here and start taking material down off of one of these. And once I get it to a certain point, then I'll come and do the other one. So here we go. Probably a little fast for what I wanted. So here we go. And it will heat up. And it's not going to be easy for you to see because I can't even see it. My finger covers it. but I will take a break here in a second and kind of show you the progress. Woo! Yeah, we're heating up now. So let's take a look already at where I'm at. So you can see how it's starting to round there? See, look at the difference from this side to this side. See how it's starting to round off there? Well, now that I'm getting that round, see, it's easy for me to just knock this crown off. So I'm going to round that a little more. I'll flip to the other side because I don't want it to get so hot I can't hold it. If it starts getting that hot, I've gone too far. So here we go. I mean, it's not like working on a blade where I have to worry about creating that heat and messing with the tempering of the blade. Notice I got my little debris trap up here. Yeah, it's getting kind of warm there. Let's do the other side. Look how quick work I made of that top now. And so what I'm going to try to do now is blend that top in. See where I'm at on that one? Compared to the other side? So I'll go back to this other side now. Mucho bettero. So now I might put a smoother belt on it just to polish that up just the slightest bit, but it doesn't hurt me to leave it here with a more satin finish because it will be a little grippier. But I think I'm good here. I think I'm going to stop there. So yeah, we've got that part done. And now, and of course I maintained all this dust over here, so I'll clean all this up. And then I think I'll finish dyeing the scales. We'll come back and reassemble. So that's where we'll pick it back up. Well, dye. And there's a slight purple tinge to it. So carbon fiber doesn't take dye like G10 or, some of the other scales. It just doesn't take it in there deep. But it does have a purple tint to it. Like, you see that? If I catch it in the right light, like it shines out. Well, hey, let's get this thing put back together. We've worked on everything except sharpening this chip out and reprofiling this blade. And so that's what we're going to do now. But we got to put it together first. So I'll be right. When I come back, it'll be together. Okay, let's get a look. So just the slightest little purple tint in those carbon fiber scales. And everything's been knocked down, and this thing is so comfortable in hand. I mean, it's just dreamy. Feels like a pillow in my hand. So comfortable, incredibly locked down. I knocked these thumb studs down, took the harshness out of them, shortened them quite a bit. Pardon me. And the action is improved. Very snappy coming out of there now. Drop shut. Yeah. And with this in my hand right now, it's easy for me to go, yeah, I know why this is one of my favorite Twosuns. It's such a good piece. Very lightweight with those titanium liners and this carbon fiber. And the carbon fiber it's grippy. It feels chalky. It's awesome. Yeah, I really like it. Let's catch this blade real quick, which is next. Put an edge on this thing. Okay, since I'm kind of profiling, I'm taking that chip out, I'm going to go with a pretty rough belt and try to get to that as quick as I can. So let's see how quickly we can get down to that chip. I have, there's our chip. See it right there? So that, we're trying to get down to that. I'm tempted to take these thumb studs back off. I think I'm gonna. Okay, here we go. We're gonna run this rough grit until that chip's gone. And from that side, it's almost gone. A couple of passes. Got quite the burr up on here. Let's do the other side and see if that chip goes away. It is still just slightly there. It's like right here. See it? Just barely there. Yeah, I'm going to kick up my speed a little bit. See if I see it. And I think it's kind of gone. I'm going to go back and forth a couple of times. So there's a beautiful edge on there now, and that chip is completely gone. So the test is going to be, I want to close the knife and see if we can dimple that blade again up here. Yeah, no contact. So I'm gonna finish sharpening this and run it through some belts, and which will take a little bit of additional material off, and then we'll come back and wrap up. Okay, we're down to the last couple of belts. I've got my 3M Trizac belt on here. I've got a couple of these. I believe this one's 1,000 grit. So we're just going to take a couple of passes on it. And you know, once with this system, once the burr is raised, I'm really just polishing and removing scratches at this point. I'm not trying to remove a lot of material. I'm just kind of refining that edge and polishing it. You know, polishing is probably the best descriptive, because, you know, when you're polishing metal, you increase, you know, the grit. It becomes finer and finer, removing scratches more and more, till pretty quick it's left with a shiny finish, you know. And so that's really what I'm doing here. This is the last Trizac belt, the 3M Trizac belt, and I don't know if it'll come through on the camera, but it's going to leave this with a pretty good polished edge. Now, I brought the angle back on this particular blade to like 20 degrees, and put, you know, of course when I reprofiled it, I put a convex edge on it. So this is going to have a really tough edge, even though it's tall and flat. It should be pretty durable and robust. Now, you know, there possibly some logic for laying this edge back, you know, down to 16 degrees or, you know, even 15 degrees, because it's tall, it's slicey, it's really, you know, a slender, lightweight knife. But I decided to put a little more robust edge on it. So now I've got some really high grit belts. These belts right here actually come with this new Mark II Kin Onion. So I picked the speed up a little bit, run a few passes. And it doesn't take long. I mean, this isn't, you know, it's absolutely one of the benefits of this system is that, you know, I can get through a whole knife in about 10 or 12 minutes. And that's from completely reprofiling it to a mirror edge. A super fine, very sharp mirrored edge. Now, do I have some muscle memory? Yeah, I do. I mean, I've done enough of these. Are you going to be able to pick this machine up in day one, you know, throw your blades through this and run it at these kind of speeds? I'm going to say probably not. You know, like anything, it takes practice, you know. You don't get to pick up a scalpel and then just mash your way through flesh, you know. You got to get a feel for it. It takes time. And so this is the last belt now. And so we really are fine-tuning the burr. And what I'm finding with these belts, these fine belts that come with this system, is I don't even have to strop a knife typically. Now I say typically because some steels respond differently. You know, you get down this low, and there are some steels that don't like running down here. Yeah, so there, let's look at this edge. I mean, it is really nice, convex, very even, very shiny. Let me see if I can't. I mean, I've been trying to perfect this whole, how do I show this, but you can see. And it's not perfect, but again, this is, this was about a 12-minute edge. I reprofiled that nick that was in there, got that out, and then put a convex edge on it. Let's see how sharp it is. Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to do any more than that. This thing will absolutely whittle a hair and pluck it, and ooh, is it sticky sharp. Wonderful. So, I mean, this is a real test on this knife. Is it going to smack into the spacer? Better not. All right, let's look. Nope, no marks. All right, well, let me get rid of all this. We'll wrap up this knife. Okay, so let's talk about this action. We'll run through this thing. So, man, it's drop shut, super smooth. The spidey flick, the thumb flick. I mean, this thing's running really nice now. There's no more contact on that blade. We reprofiled that a little bit and then put a wonderful edge on this thing, crazy sharp. The ergonomics on this, I mean, we knocked down all these scales, just filed all these edges down. And so this thing is just a pillow in the hand, super soft, extremely confident grip. Even though it's just this carbon fiber, it's got titanium liners in here. So it's a stiff and rigid knife, but very lightweight. And, I mean, not so confident, very confident. I mean, this thing will come up on confident, and it's such a dagger, such a dart of a knife that, I mean, I feel really locked in here. It's got a great reverse grip, and then the Pakal grip on this. This grip right here for a hammer to drag and pull. Man, it's so comfortable in this spot right here. Love it. Excellent ergonomics on this knife. Let's check that pocket clip because it does have Motuan ball. Yeah, it's got a ball clip. And, but you ready for this? This one actually works. This is one of the ones that, like, on this thicker material, it's a F5 clip. On standard jean size material, it's a dryer clip. It really functions well, grips nice, and it wouldn't surprise me if it's not, like, this isn't one of the ones that it just encourages it, to continue to go forward and do them. But yeah, it runs really well. It's got good retention. It's easy to get in and out of the pocket. I like it. I did knock these thumb studs down quite a bit. Probably took 30% off of them. They're just barely over the sides of the scale. If I go straight down view, you can barely see them sticking out. And they function wonderfully. Like the others they're just oversized and unnecessarily so, because I could take these even smaller. I could, when you look at how far they're over here, I could make them even with the scales here. And they would still absolutely work. No doubt about it. Yeah, wonderful. The blade is slicey. Let's check safety. Can we make blade contact through the scales? I can't contact it through the back, and the tip is recessed. The clip is good. So I'm confident with this knife that as long as it's closed, I'm not going to touch any of the sharp parts. And it is sharp now. So, hey, probably a long video, and it does got a little bit of a purple hue. There it is. See it? Like if you catch it in the light right, it'll dance on the lights a little bit. Yeah, ts304 stonewash 14C28 blade, carbon fiber scales, titanium pocket clip, titanium liners. Yep, definitely one of my favorite Twosuns, and I like pimping them out like this. Really nice knife. All right, appreciate y'all watching.